After 8 years with Ford Motor Company, he has a proven record of understanding market trends and delivering results in the automotive industry. Todd studied finance at the University of New Mexico and received his MBA from Penn State.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you for having me here today. It's a pleasure and an honor to share the Ford Motor Company story with you. Oh, you can see my notes. As Justin said, my name is Todd Fairburn, and I work with Ford Motor Company. I've been an employee now for going on nearly 9 years, and my time has taken me through South Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee, South Carolina, and now I'm right here in Atlanta doing what I love, working with the dealers, and it's a real joy. Now, when Ken and the team, who I must thank for allowing me to come out and share the special story of Ford Motor Company, a story that's near and dear to my heart, he asked me to come speak about the company and, talk about how our leader, Alan Mulally, kind of blazed the trail for us. As many of you are familiar with, a few years back, we were in a terrible recession, probably one of the worst in my lifetime. And how we brought in Alan Mulally, and he set our company on a course of uncharted seas, and it was all new to us, but it was very exciting. And we were able to change our corporate culture in the midst of one of the greatest automotive recessions, and we were able to do it without taking a bailout, and which is something that we're very proud of, and it's very exciting. So to truly understand how dire times were, it gives you a perspective here of our retail market share. So what retail is what the dealership sells to individuals. We subtract fleet out of that, so large companies that purchase cars. That number is not in there. But if you look at the if you look at the presentation here, back in 2003, our share was about 15.7%, which was fairly good. However, we started a steady decline. And with that decline, the industry also hit decade lows. And in 2008, our share was a stitch over 10%. And coincidentally, the industry was at 10 million units, which was an all-time low. Couple that with the economic growth was at an all-time low, less than 2% growth those years. Job growth was down. Housing bubble was about to burst. Consumer debt was sky high, while consumer confidence was at all-time lows. Now, when we brought Alan Mulally on board, he came from Boeing, an industry that was a far cry from the automotive industry. And I remember there was a lot of curiosity. What does this airline guy know about automotives? We're different than any other industry out there. And one of the things that drove home my confidence in him is it was at a press conference, and I can't remember the words exactly, but somebody was asking him what he knew about cars. And, he's like, I realize there's X number of moving parts in a car, and you have to get it from point A to point B. Where I come from, the airline industry, there's 10 times that, and you're in the air, and you have hundreds of passengers. So right then and there, I think the company was like, all right, we took a chance, and this guy's our man. And he came in with his own principles, and he realized that for Ford Motor Company to survive during these challenging times, we needed to totally change our corporate culture. There was a lot of, in any big organization, there's a lot of red tape, there's a lot of bureaucracy, but he had to wipe that out and start from scratch. And so what he did was he identified key principles on how to do this. The first was to create a clear and compelling vision statement. You have to really know what you want to be to become who you will be down the road. And we didn't know what we are. At that point in time in the industry, we were a fast follower. We were always the second partner to the dance. We never led the charge. GM would be there, we'd be there next. So we were never that trendsetter. We were always just that fast follower. And we really had to identify a value proposition for our consumers and for the world to see what we were made of. Now, it's interesting how he stumbled upon our value proposition. It's probably, I think it's interesting at least, but it came in the form of an old Saturday Evening Post ad from 1925. The ad was titled, "Opening the Highways to All Mankind." And this was our new vision statement. So, every company has a vision. Every company knows what they want to be. And when Henry Ford created this ad back in 1925, he sought to open the highways to all mankind. He was a trendsetter back in the early 1900s with the 5-hour workday, the manufacturing lines and whatnot. And it was key and it was vital to our success to follow that same vision, those same principles that were put in place years ago. So now, as an organization, every decision we make, be it production, product, research and development, we bounce it off that statement and say, hey, does this really open the highways to all mankind? And it's really neat when you look at the big picture. Does this help? And one proven point to this point is the EcoBoost Powertrain. Now, I'm not sure how many of you all are familiar with powertrains or engines. What the EcoBoost does is it's a turbocharged plus a direct fuel injection engine. Essentially, in regular people terms, it gives a smaller engine the power of a larger engine. So take, for example, the V6. It gives that V6 the power of a V8. So you don't lose anything in power and torque and towing capacity, but what you do is you make it up in fuel economy. Going back to the opening the highways for all mankind, this does just that. We were able to create an efficient, cost-effective method for our customers to drive more fuel-efficient vehicles by providing these cars. At that time, there was a lot of excitement about hybrids and electric vehicles, and at that time as well, the prices of those vehicles were sky high. So we found a niche and a way to get those customers in more fuel-efficient vehicles, thus opening the roads for all mankind. What's interesting is, to this point, the company has sold over 2 million EcoBoost engines nationally, or actually globally, excuse me, and oddly enough, and it's just a telltale sign of how well this powertrain performs, we actually sell more V6 F-150s with the EcoBoost than we do V8s, which is pretty incredible, especially for you truck buyers out there. Another principle that Alan brought with him to the company was to have a plan, keep it simple, and stick to it. As I mentioned before, Ford was a fast follower, so we might have had a plan, and when I started back in 2005, until Alan Mulally came, we probably had near a dozen plans. It would change quarterly. Whatever way the wind was blowing, we would change directions and go that way. So what Alan wanted to do, it might seem obvious, was just to develop a simple plan. The name didn't matter so much, but he wanted it to be simple, straightforward, and religiously adhered to by all employees in the organization. So he developed the One Ford plan. There's 4 key tenets to the plan. The first is to aggressively restructure to operate profitably at the current demand and changing model mix. The second is to work together effectively as one team. Third tenet is accelerate development of new products for our customers. And the fourth is to finance our plan and improve our balance sheet. Now, it's one thing to have a great plan and get everybody excited about it when your company is moving in the right direction and you're posting positive results and making money. It's quite another when you're at such a challenging time to turn things around and get the employees motivated and get them all focused on this One Ford goal. But it's really how we run our business. Now, right here, and I remember one of our first dealer meetings up in Detroit that after Alan Mulally had taken over. He had taken the One Ford plan and printed it on wallet cards. I would demonstrate and show you mine, but my wallet, I mistakenly lost it at the airport, and I do not have my card anymore, so maybe Tony can find me one when we get back to the office, but I digress. He wanted to put this on a wallet card, so we all had that plan, that vision with us every day. If we were ever at a cross point, working with a dealer, or the manufacturing team was at a cross point trying to figure out which way they wanted to go, you could just pull this card out and refer to it, and you knew what our guiding principles were. And it really emphasizes the one team, one plan, one goal. And I'm sure within all your businesses, you have very strong individuals, and everybody's a great performer by themselves, but when you really get everybody working together and you get that cohesion, you have like a turbo machine. And that was Alan's goal at Ford, was to bring everybody together and to kind of get everybody working on the same page to deliver those profitable results. A key, and I say key, it was very key at this point in time, If you recall, not only were we in the midst of a depression, but we had bank failures, we had mortgage and housing bubble burst, and it was a very treacherous time in the economy, no matter what industry you were in. Fortunately, we were able to navigate those seas without going to the government and asking for money, and it's because Alan and our leadership team had the foresight and the courage, I would say, to go out there and kind of bet the farm. We probably took one of the largest home improvement loans out ever prior to the fall. It's so incredible to think about. We actually leveraged the Ford Oval, our logo, our heart and soul, in terms to get money to help us get to where we needed to be. So we took a big risk, but I think it definitely paid off in the end. To this point, we've been able to reduce our structural costs by over $10 billion. We've streamlined our workforce, and that's very tricky because if you think about a large-scale manufacturing company, we not only have salaried employees, but we also have hourly employees. And working with the UAW, when plants were shutting, manufacturing was slowing down, it was very tricky to navigate those seas, but it just speaks volumes to the team we had working with those folks. And we were able to negotiate contracts that it kind of blew the people's mind that we were able to still kind of come to the party and help them out and help ourselves and work together towards a common goal. Furthermore, improving manufacturing competitiveness. And that kind of goes part and parcel with working with the workforce because we were at a competitive disadvantage to our competitors, the imports. And we would build a car and it would cost us not twice as much, but probably, a good bit more than it would to build the same car for our import competitors. And so we had to get those scales on the same page to really be effective in the marketplace, and we've done so. The most exciting thing about improving our financial position is for the past 17 quarters, the company has posted a profit, which is unheard of for the longest time for us. Furthermore, we've reduced our automotive debt by nearly 50%, and we also have over $40 billion in liquidity. So looking from where we were to where we are, we've made some vast improvements. Key to some of our success more recently and is to offer a full vehicle line portfolio. If you think back to the Ford Motor Company, you might have known 10, 15 years ago, we were about trucks, and we had a lot of gas-guzzling SUVs, and we had a Mustang. We had a Taurus, but that was really about all people knew about our brand. And, there's some acronyms out there and negative things about what Ford meant to some folks. But I believe strongly that we've been able to change the mindset of people. And not only today do we sell those same SUVs, more fuel-efficient ones, and trucks, but we also have a full-scale lineup going from small cars like a Fiesta all the way up to medium-sized cars like the Fusion, fuel-efficient vehicles like the C-Max Energy, and trucks and SUVs. So it's a really exciting time for us. And what's great about this is not only are we changing our mix and improving our offering to customers, we're also providing you with the freshest lineup in the industry by turning our vehicles and making changes each 36 to 48 months. So keeping things fresh keeps the customers engaged and keeps them coming back into the showrooms. The third piece of Mulally's strategy was focusing on these 4 pillars to drive our improved value proposition to the customer. So we have drive smart, drive safe, drive green, and drive quality. Now, what does this mean? So when we're going through the production phases of a vehicle, we try to figure out how can we make this vehicle safe? How are we going to make it efficient? So one technology that we have that fits under the Drive Smart would be Ford Sync, would also be My Ford Touch. And these are voice-activated commands, so you don't have to be fiddling with your radio dial while you're driving. We all know that's very dangerous. Furthermore, Sync will sync your cell phone to your car speaker, so you're able to not focus on reading that text message or dialing your son or daughter, and you can just press a button and tell your car who to call, and they will make that call. Depends on your dialect, though. Sometimes the southern accents, it doesn't always work that well. Driving green, I mentioned it before. It's all about being fuel efficient, and one of the things our engineering team strives for is to be best in class in terms of fuel efficiency. And And what does that mean? It means we're able to continue opening the highways for all mankind, to get people out in affordable vehicles that are fuel efficient and drive safe. One piece of technology we brought to market last year was inflatable rear seatbelts. So not only do you have the airbags in the sides and the front, you also, your passengers, and a lot of everybody here, the people who ride in the back seat, are their pride and joy. So those kids are safe back there. And it's just taking it to a whole new level and forcing the industry and forcing our competitors to think differently about what they're going to do to keep up with us. And of course, all these actions couldn't be accomplished without working together as a team. And being a global manufacturing organization and just being a global business, we were very siloed previously in how we worked. We had service teams, we had sales teams, we had marketing teams, but everybody was going in their own direction. And when Mulally came on board, he brought together that cohesion. So not only do we work together locally, but we have folks in Dearborn working with our teams in Europe, in South America, and Australia. And it's really exciting because the same vehicles that we sell here are the same vehicles that people can buy anywhere across the world. So not only do we have a global Ford Fiesta and a global Ford Focus, but we're also developing concept cars. So it's the exact same vehicle everywhere you go. And it just brings that whole sense of one to a brand rather than offering a Focus that looks different in this market than that. So it really brings the whole thing together. And through Mulally's plan, we've been able to take at one point downtrodden company and turn things on its head a little bit. So as you can see, back in 2008, we started the march back up, and our retail share has been steadily climbing. So obviously what we've been doing in the marketplace with the vehicles that we've been producing have been working and have been resonating with buyers. Today, Ford Motor Company is the best-selling brand in America. And also in an independent study, Ford Motor Company is one of America's top brands, right up there with Apple. And so that's pretty astounding when you think about it. Everybody has a smartphone. We just got to get everybody driving a Ford. F-Series is the #1 selling truck in America. And actually this year, when we beat our competitors again, it'll be the #1 selling truck for 37 consecutive years. So So it's something to be proud of, and we thank you because you are the consumer and you're purchasing those vehicles as well. Focus, our Ford Focus, is the best-selling car in the world, not just in the United States, not just in Atlanta, not just in the Southeast, in the entire world. It's pretty exciting as well. Plus, our Fiesta B car is the #1 selling B car in the world as well. And so what B car means is it's just a smaller car. So it's nothing too crazy. It's not anything special, just a smaller car. And really, we've seen some incredible turnaround, some success. But that success wouldn't occur without our dealer partners. And we make it a point, when I meet with Ken and the team at Hardy, we thank them. And I remember Alan Mulally's first meeting in Dearborn when all the dealers were there. He stood up. Before he said anything else, he said, "We love you." Kind of like Mr. Hardy. We love you and we need you. And if we didn't have that passion, and we didn't have these guys fighting on the street, on the battlefield, moving the brand every single day, we wouldn't be where we are. So it's really a appreciation for our local teams, and they're really who deserve all the credit for Ford Motor Company's turnaround, them and Mr. Mulally. But kudos to Ken and the team at Hardy Family Ford. And now this picture, this is their old facility. So they are in the process, and they will have a new facility. And in fact, right now the service department is open and the quick lane. So if anybody needs an oil change, they can take care of you. But the front facade will be completed, I believe, hopefully before the end of the month. And it's going to be just a state-of-the-art facility, one of the nicest facilities, not just in the Southeast, but in the U.S., because it's one of our new trust marks. So we really thank them. And the Hardy team has been a business partner of ours since 1985, which is astounding. They've been with us through thick and thin, and we can't thank them enough for what they do. And I can't thank them enough for letting me come up here today and share with you all a story about a company that I love and I feel passionate about, and I just love waking up and going to work for every day. At this point, I will open it up to any questions anybody might have, but thanks in advance for your time and your attention. And is there any questions out there? Only easy ones.
Hey, Don, thank you for that forth. Very good. Thanks for doing this. If you were taking closer step before working and look into the trading of crop user margin, product price, trade promotion, people, what was the strength and what is the area opportunity to sit down and still work?
Well, I think in any business, people is always, we had great people. It's just a matter of cultivating and getting them excited and moving towards a common goal. And when we were so siloed, everybody was moving in 10 different ways. And now we're moving in the same direction. And I'd say our biggest challenge, and it will always be a challenge, is our products, because we want to make sure that we're putting the best cars and trucks on the road today. Not just the best in terms of fuel efficiency, but the safest and vehicles that last. So, thank you. Oh, the future is going to be exciting. That's all I can tell you. No, I think, it's crazy to speculate, what the future will bring. I think if you watched Back to the Future, we were supposed to have hoverboards and flying cars by now, but that hasn't happened. But realistically, the envelope will always be pushed, and you really got to challenge what we have today, and that'll take everything to the next level. So cars that drive themselves, I'm not sure. It would be exciting, but kind of scary. I would kind of like to be in control. But it might make traveling in downtown Atlanta a little bit safer for all of us if we had a computer driving for us. Thank you.
General Motors is the bailout, and now there's a lot of agreements with the Chinese.
Well, we're glad that we avoided the bailout, and that was, and that's one thing we kind of hang our hats on every single day. And it's interesting because now here it is, 2013, almost 2014, and people were still thanking us for not having to go down that road. And we were able to right-size our business by ourselves without the help of taxpayer money. And now China's an emerging market. I mean, there's a lot happening. We, at Ford Motor Company, we're bringing the Lincoln brand over there. We're coming to play there. And it's a global industry, so we have to be ready and we have to have our game faces on in any country we travel to. But China's definitely on our radar. Yes? Yeah, and actually the Hardy dealership is they're probably one of the largest fleet dealers around. I know recently they put a couple, probably like 70 cars to the Brookhaven Police Force fleet, all new Transits, and they also provide vehicles for Georgia Power, maybe Georgia Southern too. But yeah, so we really try to make sure we put great vehicles out there. And then how do we engage in the locations? The dealerships will have a lot of events. Like we do events like Drive One for Your School, where a dealership will partner with a school, or we have Drive One for Your Community, where the dealerships will partner with the community, and each test drive raises money. So if you have a school and you're interested in putting something together, I would talk to Ken, because that's something we can do. And for each test drive that's given, the company donates, I believe it's $20 so you get a couple hundred people out there. It's worth your while. And so we just we know the biggest part of growing your business is making a name for yourself in the community. So it's events like these, it's Drive One for Your School campaigns. It's just grassroots marketing.
About one more question.
Okay. Where is it coming from? No question.
I have one. So we know the Fiesta is best-selling car in the world. F-150 is the best-selling truck. Well, how do you stack up in your other markets, like SUV and some of the other?
That's a good question. It was easy to look at things back in the early 90s when I was a kid, I guess, and there was only a handful of competitors in each segment. But today there's so many competitors, and you have so many different manufacturers. So yes, while we are the best-selling truck and we have the number one vehicle in the world, in each and every segment, we're a key player. And it's exciting when you bring new vehicles to market. Like a couple of years ago, we had the Ford Flex. We recently introduced the Transit Connect into to the fleet market. And later, actually, no, in 2014, it's not even 2014 yet, excuse me, we'll be introducing the Transit, which is a larger and diesel-powered fleet vehicle out there for everybody. So it's always a challenge entering a new segment. And are we number one in everything? I can't lie to you and tell you we are. I'd love to. But we do have a dealership here who is one of the top performing stores. So maybe here in Dallas, we're number one in a lot of areas. But globally, we just haven't caught up with Ken and the team yet.
All right, let's thank Ken.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, Todd, on behalf of the Chamber, we appreciate the presentation and you being here. It's great to hear the Ford story, and I'm with AT&T. I'd love for you to talk to some of our executives especially about some of the silos. I'm just kidding. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
Let's appreciate him one more time. Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Tony, for being here. Thank you, Hardy family, Ford team, everyone. Appreciate your sponsorship today and a great program. Okay.